Welcome to Canisius High School in another edition of our Crusader Alumni series. I'm Andy Helwig in the class of 2015, here with Mr. Bryan Tenney today. Mr. Tenney went to Canisius from 1972 to 1976, won Mr. Canisius in 1976. He went on to play baseball at Duke, where he led the 1979 team in batting average and 1980 team in doubles. Coach Tenney, it's a pleasure to have you back.
Thank you, Andy. Pleasure to be here.
So we're going to take a look back at your Canisius career.
Great.
So back as a student here at Canisius, what's like your favorite memory?
You know what, the best thing, and it still lingers to this day, is the relationships I formed here. There's guys that, 35, 40 years later, I'm still in touch with, whether you don't see them that often or you keep them close friends. I just ran into a classmate of mine this past weekend and hadn't seen him for a long time, and we spent 15 minutes talking like we never left. So, I grew up in Amherst, came here from St. Benedict's, and knew a handful of kids, and made so many friends from Orchard Park, the city, throughout West New York. And I think that's the best thing, is it just opens you up to a whole new avenue of friendships and relationships. It was great, just great.
Because me living in Alden, in a small town, now you don't meet too many people outside of Alden, so getting to be here, you get to meet
It is,
from all over.
it's neat. You know what, like I said, it's different lifestyles,
Yeah.
even though you're close in terms of miles, different lifestyles, different kids, different personalities.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, some of my best friends are guys that I made relationships with while I was here at Canisius as a student.
So now everyone knows that you're a baseball guy, but not everyone knows you're also a football guy when you were here.
Well, I came here and baseball was my primary sport. I played basketball, and some of my friends were playing football, and the football team was doing very well at the time. And it was my parents like to tell the story. One summer, all of a sudden, the quarterback starts hanging out with me, and next thing you know, we're throwing the football around. Next thing you know, we're going down to the local high school, and I'm running patterns, and ended up playing my senior year for the Canisius, and went undefeated and continued the streak. And what a great experience! I always say to this day, I love baseball. It's my passion, but the greatest team sport I ever played was football, because you got 11 guys that on a field, and nothing happens unless they all do their job. So it was a great experience playing with friends, but also representing the school. And I even got recruited. One college wanted me to play, and I kept trying to tell them I want to play baseball. I don't want to play football in college. And I think finally they got it. So, but it was a great experience. Great experience.
And then again, I don't know how many two people have seen this, but in your senior picture, you have it's a great beard. When did it go? Why did it go?
Well, it was one of those things back. Now remember, this was the '70s, so it was a little different. But apparently, I must have found out that I could grow a beard. Over the summer. My parents were okay with it, not crazy about it, but they let it go. And so I let it grow, and fully intended it to wear to school. And as I found out later from Mr. Skipper, the AD, that apparently the school had a meeting as to whether to allow me to in the school with the beard. But they said okay, and I ended up playing through it through the year. Basketball, baseball, and football with the beard. The only regret I have is I took my senior picture with it, and my mother to this day is like, gee, I wish you would have shaved for that. But I shaved for graduation, so I tried to make my mom happy with that.
And then, like I said, you wanted to play baseball at Duke. What was it like to go from Canisius to go to such a huge school to play baseball?
It was a great experience. You know what, academically, Duke is an excellent school, so it was very challenging. And to be able to mix a passion that I have for baseball, I was a walk-on, and I had a chance to work out. My head coach my first year was Enos Slaughter, who's a Hall of Famer, and he liked me, and I ended up playing. I started all 4 years at first base, and very happy with the career, very happy with my choice of Duke, not only academically but also from a baseball standpoint. And again, made a lot of friends, and some of them are lifelong.
And it's also pretty impressive, like I said, the 79 and 80 seasons, you led the team in batting average and doubles.
It was a struggle at first. The first couple of years is very challenging because, again, you're 18 years old and you're playing against guys that are 3-4 years older than you. And there were some tough teams. We did a lot of traveling, played a lot of top teams, and, maybe something clicked in. But junior year, I had a real good year, and, followed it with a good senior year. So it was enjoyable. It was an enjoyable time.
Was there a game or whatever that you always like to tell a story about that always comes to your mind, or?
The only one that sticks out, and there weren't too many that stick out, but there was a former major league pitcher by the name of Jimmy Key who pitched for Clemson, and we were down there playing them, and it was a tight game, and I hit a home run off of him. And, I think I went back to the dugout just like, wow, I can't believe I did that. And it gets better as years goes on, as he goes on and plays Major League Baseball and that. But that would probably be my big claim to fame. Knocking off Carolina in the ACC tournament was a good experience too. So, those rivalries stick close to you, even with the years. So it was good, very good.
And then you came back here, just finished your 25th season as head coach. Did you plan on being head coach here as long as you have?
Back in 1989, Connie McGillicuddy was the head coach and Jim Burke was the JV coach. And Jim Burke called me in the fall and said, can I meet with you? And so we met. We talked about coming to Canisius to coach the freshman team. And at that point, I didn't know we had a freshman team. I hadn't been associated with the school at all. I came back to Buffalo in 1981. And we didn't have a freshman team when I was there. So, I was working in the restaurant business at that time. I worked out my schedule so I could do it, and coached for 2 years. And then Connie stepped down, and they asked me to be the head coach. And I took the job, not knowing anything about time length. But I'll tell you, it's enjoyable. It's 3 months a year. And I wouldn't trade it for the world. If somebody said it, 25 years, or I don't know if I would have said okay, but I'm thrilled to still be here.
Now, is there a particular year or that's like special, or and obviously winning a Georgetown Cup is a big deal, but we've done that a couple times.
I remember Andy's a member of our team, so last year was the best. No, you know what? Every year you get a new group of players. You get a new group of young men who are striving to do their best, represent the school, play baseball. So I can't pinpoint. We've had some great teams. We've had some teams that have finished well and won. We've had some great teams that came up short. But really it comes down to the type of team we have. And I'm always thrilled. There's always some hiccups along the way, but 99% of the time, I've got great kids that want to represent the school, want to do the best they can, and want to work as a team. And I can't ask for anything more. So, there's always good teams. Like I had one team back in 1996 that I think 11 of the players ended up going on and playing in college. 2009, the same thing. A number of them went on to play college. And even the current teams, we've got from last year and this year, a number of them that'll go on and play college. So I can't say if there's a favorite team because I really care about all the kids that play, not only on varsity but throughout the program. So, and I don't want to get myself in trouble either by picking a certain year. But since 1991, they've all been great teams and great kids.
And then this is the first year in a long time that you won't be coaching one of your kids.
I know.
Is that a welcome change, or are you gonna miss it, or?
Well, I think that's better to ask my kids if it's a welcome change. Love my kids and thoroughly enjoyed having them on the team. It's special when your son plays for you, does well. Of course, it's tough when they don't do well, but I wouldn't trade it for the world having my kids on my teams. Will it be different? Yes, because the rides home, I love my wife, but I'll talk baseball for a few minutes and then that's it. Whereas with my kids, I can talk all night with them. But it's always special to have your kids involved in your program, so I'll miss them.
Now it's been several years that you've been here as a coach, and since being a student, has the school changed at all?
Yes and no. You still walk through those blue doors, and you've got 4 years that are going to be tremendous. It was the same thing when I walked through those blue doors back in '72. It's a little different in the sense that nowadays with HAP and the basketball, the grammar school basketball tour, there's a lot of things that go on at school before you walk in as a freshman. Back then, you kind of just walked in as a freshman and started. But, it's once you get inside those blue doors, the challenges in the classroom, the challenges outside the classroom, the social aspect and everything else, I don't think it's changed that much. Maybe technology has changed a lot of, how things have gone. But overall, it's still, kids coming together, forming a bond, whether it's athletically, academically, spiritually, and just riding it out. And so, no, I don't think it's changed that much. It really hasn't.
And then, just you said you met one of your buddies the other weekend. You just talked like you never left. Is there any special connections or interesting connections you have?
I have one friend, Mike Anders, who we went through grammar school, high school together, and he's been my best friend probably since I was, 6, 7, 8 years old. And how do you argue with that? And I just, you run into people, former players, former coaches, alums, and y'all have a common thread, being a part of Canisius.
How have those connections affected your life beyond the high school years?
Well, like I said, is you open up a door, you walk into a restaurant, you walk into a store, you walk into, athletic event, and you're bound to see somebody you know. Mm-hmm. And the connections you make professionally can help, when Canisius has a wide range, whether you're in town or out of town. We're down in Florida, and we run into people that are Canisius alums. We're in the airport traveling, and I always like to tell the one story. We're walking through the airport in our coats and ties, and this one gentleman walks up to us and says, "Where are you guys from?" And he was probably 70, and so we're from Canisius High School, the baseball team, and his eyes started to well up, and he all of a sudden starts yelling for his wife amongst all these people that are waiting at gates for airplanes. He starts yelling, and he says, "This is my school. This is where I went to school." He's on the baseball team. I was on the baseball team, and when you see something like that, that's what it's all about. It's the fact that wherever you go, there's a connection there, somewhere, somehow. You may not realize it right away, but there's always somebody out there that's got a tie to Canisius, and I think that's tremendous. I think that's great.
Well, that's all we have for this edition of our Crusader Alumni Series. Coach, it's been a pleasure to have you with
Andy,
us.
thank you very much, buddy.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to us,
All
and
right.
we'll see you back on baseball season.
That sounds like a deal. Love it.